The situation in Cuba is increasingly dramatic. A country that depends on fuel imports, produces about 40,000 barrels a day, but needs about 100,000. And since the US decision to topple Maduro in Venezuela in early January, the United States government has withheld fuel imports that Cuba received from Venezuela. It has also put pressure on other countries that had sent fuel to Cuba, like Mexico, and that has created an energy crisis, a fuel shortage in Cuba, which has an economy which is highly dependent on oil, a very antiquated Soviet-style infrastructure. This crisis now is likely the worst in decades because right now there's no international partner like the Soviet Union, for example, during the Cold War or Venezuela over the past decades to provide economic support. A lot of people say this time is different, but it's important to point out that a lot of people also said in the 1990s, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, that this time was different and that the regime would likely collapse. We have to be careful not to make predictions about a scenario which remains opaque because the regime doesn't face an opposition that's ready to take over. It's not necessarily a scenario of regime collapse in the face of economic collapse, but you may have a government that holds on to power despite a very difficult economic situation. So I think we're still in a very uncertain scenario here. But certainly there's a risk of social unrest. There's a risk of instability and an exodus, a further exodus of people seeking to leave given the economic hardship